Geoff, imagine if Fleetwood won and you didn't bet him at this tournament.
You're trying to cost my kids like $150 right now, aren't you?
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. Code Mayo at Underdog right now. Get you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000, which you can use to draft your best ball teams. Pat Mayo Experience, rake-free leagues coming very, very soon. Geoff, you can take advantage of that down in Arizona, I believe, where you're at right now.
Yes, I can. I forgot. I got here yesterday. I forgot about that, so I'll be getting on that this week for sure.
Yes.
I'm actually really excited. The major stuff, all that stuff. I'll be an Underdog junkie.
Do you want me to send you my cheat sheet for the major championships? I haven't released it to the public yet. I've still been working on it, but I can send you the draft.
Yeah, I'll bug you. Honestly, I'll probably bug Byron also if he's done anything.
We got Byron coming up tomorrow with Raza on the Best Bet Show. Byron's also joining me for the Cut Sweat Live on Friday, and I will be live on Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Tambo, breaking down the final bets, the weather, everything DFS related, and taking your questions at the end. If you cannot join to ask questions, and you have questions, of course, I think I'm going to do a live chat on Wednesday evening as well. Just a pure Q&A on the Mayo Media Network, so sub to that right now. We got the Players' Championship, the unofficial fifth major, because it's not really a major, but it is that bridge between the majors and every other tournament. This is the table setter that we've seen for the majors since its move to March, which was in 2019. Only major champions have won at the Players' Championship. The only one who didn't, Geoff, was Cam Smith, and then he won the Open later that year.
It's truly fascinating when you if I'm playing down the board this week, which I don't think I'm doing. I think you got to pepper each ways which is crazy coming from me. I don't even know if I take my own advice, but look at who wins this tournament. You mentioned it to me off air about who wins during who's won since the move, Pat. Don't overthink this sucker.
I think that's a pretty good strategy. We'll get into that. You can always hit the time codes to jump around. But I got to talk a little bit about last week, and not about API, Geoff. I was in the hole a couple $1,000, maybe a little bit more on golf betting this year. It has not been good for Pat Mayo, golf betting. But do you know what was? This weekend, Carl Phillips, 80-1 at Puerto Rico. Phil Mickelson on Live Hong Kong, 125-1 for his top five. I wish he could have got his 500-1 outright winner. But the 125 is a nice consolation on that. I am no longer in the hole. In fact, I am now way up on golf betting this year. This is why golf betting is the best.
Yeah, golf betting is straight magic. That was amazing. Congrats on Phillips. If you checked my Twitter, like my ats or my DMs, I got a lot of credit for giving people the pick. I didn't bet it myself. This happens. You know, Pat, we record on Monday morning. We feel like we got an opinion. We have a conversation, and I just talked myself out of it. I'm so upset with myself. I'm like, he passed the eye test for me and the cognizant, and then I just got in my head, winning is hard. Winning's just too hard. The guy's not winning in his third or fourth spot. And I just pivoted to bet freaking losers. So it's not very pleased with myself, but I got clout. I got internet clout, but no money. I'd rather the money, and you guys tell me I'm an idiot online, truth be told.
Well, Cust is coming up in a little bit later on. It sounds like you're now taking the Cust strategy of not winning any money, but getting that sweet, sweet internet credit.
Sweet, sweet internet credit. And as for Phil, I don't have I'm not all the hat tips to you, Pat. I don't know if I wouldn't say I mocked the pick, but there was no way I was riding with any money in any way on Phil Mickelson. So good for you. You deep dived the event. You saw the approach stats, and you came home with a nice freaking, 125 each way? That's such boss. No one's going to hit a winner this week that pays 125-1, I assure you.
And no one hit a winner last week at API who paid that much because Russell Henley ended up winning. What did we say? I think the thing that we hammered down on the show last week is you kind of gave him a bunch of shit because he can't close the door at any of these events. And I basically said people have been betting Russell Henley over and over. And now that they are going to stop because he couldn't close at Honda, now this will be the week that he wins. Of course, I didn't bet it, but I saw Sky with it. Drew Matthews ended up hitting it. Drew Matthews now he's killing the Florida swing. He's got Highsmith and Henley to his credit in the first two events, but I was nowhere near the leaderboard of this tournament. The only sniff that I had was Finau, and he went full ejecto mode on Sunday.
Like, legit thrilled for Russell. We've been podcasting for 10 years. I don't think there's one outright Russell Henley bet in my database. So I can't feel scorned. It's not like I had money on Morikawa. And yeah, we joked last week about it. I mean, I just don't bet the guy. I have my own losers to bet. Like, anytime the discourse is Russell Henley, it's like, I just got my own losers. I got my own losers. Sky also hit Phillips, Pat. He had the beauty double on that one. And I wanted to give someone else credit for Henley. Dave Tyndall, I saw get Henley. And Sky showed me. He showed me his picks last week before he even posted them. It had Henley. And my response to Sky in a DM was, only the model bros are still riding Henley, and he's gonna pull it off. In some ways, it reminds me of Xander finally winning the PGA when everyone was done but the hardened model bros, because the numbies, even at 14, 15 to 1, the numbies pointed that Xander is a fair shoot. And at Henley's stats, it always puts him up as a fair shoot for the model bros. So happy they cashed it. Happy for them. Nothing for me. I was dead. I had a small card, but it didn't really live.
I'm with you. I didn't have anyone below 55 to 1, and 3 of them, and I made the bets before the weather came out. So I had 4 of my 5 guys in the early on Thursday, and they were just toast. I was like, well, I don't really want to reinvest too much into this tournament. I grabbed Scottie at 60 at one point, and just coming down the stretch, I bet Michael Kim because he's my guy. I think that's the real story of the API. Now, it is probably Russell Henley getting across the finish line, making an eagle chip in on 16 that was only half shown on the broadcast on NBC for reasons unknown. But Michael Kim, man, top 5 again. He is basically punched his, I don't want to say he's an Eastlake yet, but he's punched his PGA Tour card. So he joins up with Joe Mayo and fixes all these chipping problems. And he comes on the Pat Mayo experience. The Mayo connection for Michael Kim is working out. I was DMing with him last night. He's fired up.
Hellman's, way to go. Incredible. He just keeps, we've just keep mentioning, this guy is the level up player of the year thus far. No one has leveled up to the extent that Michael Kim has leveled up. And he keeps leveling up on top of the level up. Unbelievable. Easy to root for, right? Obviously, he's got the ties to the show, but even not. He just seems like a very authentic, easy to root for character. I mean, Pat, yesterday just kind of showed how beautiful golf is in its own way. The arc, the career arc to winning and finding your win. I mean, we see Phillips winning number 4, and then the arc that the roller coaster of Henley's career to come home with the biggest moment of his professional life. We could include Sergio to an extent, but fuck, man, the sport is just beautiful. It provides things just that no other professional outlet on earth can do, in my opinion.
So I actually
just don't see that in other sports.
No, we'll talk to Tim about this in a second about Liv and how no one really paid attention to it going on. But I had 2, 3, and 4 on the leaderboard. I had Burmeister, Phil, and then Lucas Herbert, but Sergio ends up winning. If I could give you a 200 to 1 Sergio Masters ticket right now, would you take that?
Yeah, I think so. If I could, it seems like at the moment there's money to be made on Sergio at the Masters, be it placings or, I mean, it's the hyperbole off a win. I'm sure people will be excited to roster him. That being said, I can make some rosters this week. I'm excited about that. I've even looked, Pat, at my watch, or not the watch. I checked the internet, trying to find a way to tell my wife, I'll take the kids for lunch today And by lunch, I mean like drive 12 minutes to the DraftKings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. And there's like a restaurant beside the sports book that kids are allowed in, but they're just not allowed in the sports book. And Daddy's got to make some golf bets because he doesn't have access to anything here. But yeah, Sergio, Liv, you hit all you hitting 2 through 4 is. I suck at Liv. It's the worst golf venture I've ever done in my life, and maybe that's why I can't stand it because I'm the worst at betting it.
Maybe. So what does this do to Henley in your mind? Is this sort of like the peak of Henley, now it comes back down, or is he riding this wave, do you think? Because Connors and Morikawa, I even made note of it. I put it out on Twitter very early on in that round. He played horrible through the first 3 holes, and he was still, I think he was even par or at least 1 under, because he hit his approach on number. He hit this awesome drive. The first he took on the dogleg, cut it over the dogleg, and then just missed the wedge to the right. Then he chips it in from the bunker for birdie. On number 2, he kind of scuffed his chip from a really easy chipping position below the hole on number 2, and number 2 was eating everyone alive, but he makes that putt. And then on number 3, he pushes his 9-iron right at the same time too. And it's like, man, this is Morikawa. He's supposed to be, primo. If there's anything he's going to do well, it's going to be hit his irons, and they just seemed off. And then he just kind of went into this cruise control mode the entire time. Connors was very much the same way too. Like Connors could not buy a putt to save his life. I think he opened with 14 consecutive pars or something like that. And he actually made a big putt on 18 to keep solo third and get himself into the Open Championship. Not that I think that he needed to get himself into the Open Championship. He's like number 30 in the world, but he's not currently qualified for it. So he gets the spot. If he gets in to the Open Championship through any other means, his spot actually goes to the person down on the leaderboard who doesn't have a spot, which would be Michael Kim. So Michael Kim should be in the Open Championship either way, although he's almost inside the top 50 in the world right now too. So he would probably get himself in at this point, as long as the ratings start rolling through by the time we get 2 weeks from now. As long as he has like an okay players, I think that he'll be fine. But with Henley, like, do you see him competing at the players now? Like, has he leveled up to this point where he's a serious contender?
I mean, when you now put on a premium win on top of those stats, I don't know that I'm ready to pull the trigger for him to do something special in a finite period of time here. But yeah, Pat, it's a game changer. I mean, like, he is, I know he made the President's Cup team, and I guess even without winning yesterday, people probably would have had him sharking around Bethpage. But like, come on now. As for like the career and the legacy, I don't know what that's going to do, but yeah, absolutely. Winning is hard. Winning is a skill. If he shows up to some of those lesser tier events that he used to play in, it'd be funny, curious to see what his numbers are going to be. But yeah, this is, no, it doesn't really change my outlook, like in terms of like, did I go hunting for Henley like major futures last night? So I guess that would answer that question.
And his odds really haven't shifted at the majors at all. He comes into this week, he's right around 35 or 40 to 1, depending on where you're looking for the players, but he's still 55, 60 at the Masters. Like that number didn't.
Wasn't he often, maybe I'm just like nitpicking in a memory, but there've been like a few majors where he got out to really nice starts. Some US Opens come to mind. But you'd watch and be like, it's Russell Henley. Like, just give this another 20 holes and he will not be a factor whatsoever.
I feel like that's every Russell Henley tournament except for yesterday.
Probably. Maybe you're right. But I'd say I guess to your initial point, when I'm now watching golf, betting on golf, and Russell Henley is in first place, tied for the lead, I can't just like assume that I don't have to worry about him, if that makes any sense.
I think that does make a ton of sense. Now, of note, he did gain 10 strokes between chipping and putting at API. Chipping in for Eagle on 16 was the difference. He did not play all that well on basically from Saturday at the turn on. He just made every putt, it seemed. And that's how you win golf tournaments, I suppose, that you're going to give yourself, and if you're going to make all your 7-footers, ask Tony Finau how never making a 7-footer works out. It doesn't work out well. You don't finish inside the top 10 anymore. But if you're Russell Henley and you're going to hit all those putts, you're going to have a good chance to win.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was in a day of travel yesterday, so I kind of got in for the very end. But in trying to just track what was happening on the internet, people lost their mind. People were losing their minds at NBC. And I guess if I was actually comfortably able to watch, I might have been one of those people. They didn't show Henley's chip on 16. These people, man. I get they're juggling some balls, but like that's a freaking tournament, and they weren't there. They weren't there for it. That's incredible. I don't even know how that can happen.
They were running an ad, so something that was like pre-produced, and they couldn't cut out of it. They had to wait for the ad to finish. It wasn't a playing through. It was like a playing through into like a sponsored ad that was actually run by the tournament itself. It wasn't like a local affiliate putting in their own advertisement. It was like baked into the show. So like when people see the ads in my show coming up a little bit later on, those are baked in. You just go skip, skip, and boom, you're out of it. But they couldn't cut back through it, and Henley had got up to the hole so quickly to play his shot that they just couldn't cut back in time. So you see like the ball rolling down, like what the hell is going on here?
And and apparently they were already behind schedule, like on the hole which isn't uncommon, right? Like it had seen, like when Morikawa apparently hit his approach shot, like Henley was already like near his ball for the chip. So it's an unwinnable situation. And when you do live sports and you want to capitalize on that finishing audience, you're going to leave the action. You got. And quite embarrassing. And I guess a lot of those early week talk-ups about what they were doing there with some MasterCard, buying the commercial time, I don't know. It seemed like either us as golf fans were pretty stubborn, or not stubborn, but we're kind of like big babies. But it seemed like no one was happy.
No.
But early in the week, people thought they would be really happy.
Well, no one's ever happy when they watch golf. But what can make you happy is I got $1,000 to give away, Geoff, this week for the Players' Championship, and I'll be giving those away on Wednesday or next Monday. I'm trying to figure that out right now. Either way, the ways that you get into it, you subscribe to the Mayo Media Network. This show, you comment on the comment section. You tell me in the video version who is your favorite bet at the Players' Championship this year. It can be from anywhere across the board. There's also other ways to get in the ballot if you go back and watch the research show from Saturday, or the show I did with Cam and Ian for the first look on Friday. You watch those shows and you comment on those with the proper giveaways, and boom, you get more ballots into that draw. That's for $500 cash. The secondary prize is a free year of FantasyNational.com. But you're going to want the leaderboard this week anyway. You might as well get the Fantasy National membership, FantasyNational.com/Mayo, get you 20% off, and then you can just win the free year. You get your money back and get a free year's worth of Fantasy National. But you don't want to miss out on Fantasy National. Those are the two big prizes for watching the show. You sub to the channel, you like it, you give me the comment down in the comment section. The other way is to get more ballots into that $500 giveaway, because Geoff, who doesn't want $500 cash in their account, you subscribe, rate, and review 5 stars, and you download the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find those links down in the description, and you'll get, you make those comments, the reviews being the comment that I just asked you for, who's going to win, after you rate it 5 stars and you subscribe to it. Turn on those auto downloads too, and boom, then you can get 3 ballots into the draw that way. The other one, Geoff, a $200 cash giveaway. I've been posting my articles on X as of right now. Follow me on X at the PME. They are pinned to the top of my profile. Anytime that you see a players-related content show or article, if you go retweet that article right now, you get in the draw. That's all you got to do. Just retweet it around, hit the like button, and you get in that draw for $200 cash. Seems pretty easy, doesn't it?
I'd play.
There you go.
But I wouldn't take the prize.
I mean,
so I just
if I draw you, I will pass.
In the comments.
I will. I mean, you can retweet it too. That would help you have big visibility.
Yeah, no, I'm always. I love the articles on X.
Do you find them easier to read on X rather than the newsletter? Because they're in both.
The newsletter doesn't bother me. I would just say, I guess I'm hitting the newsletter less these days because I'm just getting them in X before I even like see the email.
Okay, well, if you need a reason to sub to the free newsletter, Mayo Media Substack, the tickets for our live show on June 7th in Toronto will be first access to people who are subscribed to the newsletter. I should have that by the end of the week. I'll give away the winners on this show next week for everything. Monday next week, because my article won't come out until, well, there's an article out now that people can go find that's pinned, but the cheat sheet won't come out until Wednesday evening, so I want to give people time to keep retweeting that one around too, and then get in the draw that way. So next Monday will be the winner, but the tickets will go live in the newsletter before anywhere else. If you want to get tickets to that show on June 7th in Toronto, then go do that. And I might have a special giveaway for that as well. Maybe a free trip, Geoff, to Toronto. You can't win that way. You know what? Maybe I'll give it to you since you're already there. It cost me less.
No, I don't want to win the trip I don't want to win the free Uber to downtown Toronto.
I'll buy you a subway ticket. How about that?
Okay, sure. No, someone else. I guess you'd save a lot if someone from Toronto won the trip to Toronto.
It's true. Maybe there'll be tickets to like Jays and Canadian Open, because that is Canadian Open weekend as well, as we're there. But we got to get to the picks, and not mine and not Geoff's. We have to get someone who is feeling a little bit odd about joining the show in a new way about technology, and I'll bet he's in a great mood. It is Tim ANDERCURSED.
Tim ANDERCURSED.
That is not my name.
We had a little bit of technical difficulties here, but you've powered through. I'm very proud of you.
I'm not.
I don't understand how using Zoom on your phone is just so much different than on your computer.
Like, I don't have an account, I don't think, for my phone. It's just the whole thing.
It's not.
You sound fantastic.
Yeah, you sound great.
Sure. Okay.
Other than I can tell how bothered you are, your quality is fantastic.
I'm bothered. It's, this daylight saving stuff. It's super dark in the mornings again now. It screws your schedule up. This time of year is awful. I'm just coping as well as I can, and that's all there is.
And now that you know how to do things on your phone, but based on the 20-second tutorial that we gave you to join this show, you can watch the Players' Championship like quad box on your phone now.
That is not going to happen.
What? Why not?
Because honestly, I don't care enough about it to watch it in quad box.
All right, well, let's start there. Give us your rant on the Players' Championship. You hate this tournament.
I just don't care for it because it's so pretentious. The fact that they have a 3-hole playoff to determine the winner is like the worst thing about it. Like, who are they to do this? It's at a bad time of year. It's at a time of year where the tournament often gets delayed. I mean, the year Cameron Smith won, didn't they finish it on like Tuesday night? Like, tell me that's a legitimate tournament. There's nothing about this. I mean, it's a goofy course where good shots are sometimes not rewarded. It's at a bad time of year. It's got a big purse, so I understand why everybody likes it, but it doesn't mean anything. So
that's actually one of my pushbacks against it. I've come to like it since it's moved to March. I think it's a nice table setter for the rest of the year. People call it the 5th major. I don't think it's the 5th major, but it is a nice bridge between the majors and all the other tournaments. I think that the signature events have really watered down this tournament. I still like that it's 144 players. I like that there's a cut, but the signature events have, $20 million in the purse, and this has $25 million in the purse, at least for the players. It used to be, hey, if you win this tournament, you win way more money than any other tournament throughout the course of the season. Now it's like an extra million or $500K. Yeah. Not that that's not a lot of money, but it should be like double whatever it is.
Yeah, anybody who tells you that this is a more important or better watch than API is lying to themselves.
Russell Henley won $4 million yesterday. So to your point, Pat, the purse stuff is kind of, it's like, it's like a drop in the bucket. It's like a grain of sand to these guys at this point. We'll give him credit because a year ago, I don't think people would have agreed with him and I at this moment like they do now, but the Olympic gold medal will hold more resume equity than this tournament.
Yeah, of course. This is just a regular tour event that you just get a lot of money to win.
And granted, an Olympic gold medal is kind of like winning a super live event because the field is kind of
bad.
Inauthentic.
It's bad.
And plus, burying your quote-unquote crown jewel event in March at the same course every year is dumb.
Well, they have to do it at Sawgrass. It's a made-for-TV
No, they
course.
don't.
Yeah, they do, because it would cut, like, for the amount of coverage that, I mean, the coverage for the players is excellent. It's now that the Masters app has taken a big step back, which we saw last year, this is probably the best covered tournament all year. If I want to watch a player, I can click on my feed and watch said player. You can't do that at any other tournament. You can see every shot if you want to. So because they have all of the technology base at this course, if you were to switch it around every single time, it would be a bit more difficult. And to your, kind of against your point, since they've moved this to March, Tim, only major champions have won this event. Rory, JT, Cam Smith, and Scheffler twice.
Your major champions were winning beforehand as well.
I mean, yes and no. Like in the 5 years previous to that, you had Webb, Day, and Keimer, who were all major champions, but you had Siwoo and Ricky in there as well. Like it seems to be less outlier-y now in March than it was in May.
The only real outlier there was Siwoo. Like Ricky was finishing second at like every major for a while. So I just, honestly, the best people win. It's just this is a worse time of year. The weather is worse. The course is less predictable. It's just there's very little I think that recommends it to March.
You show some respect to the gold man.
I think they killed off the gold man. I think he was a one and done type. He was like the Poochie. He was the Poochie of the Players' Championship.
There's two traditions that I love best about the players. One is the gold man. The second is when you wear your blue blazer and yellow button down, and nobody but me notices that you've done that for the players.
Well, I haven't done it this year, Tim. I've worked out too much on this bodybuilder diet. My back is too big. I can't fit into that suit jacket anymore.
Well, you just cut the back out of it then. No one will know.
I'll be like the Incredible Hulk on the show.
Yeah, no one will know the difference. You just cut the back out of it. Cut the seam out. You're good.
Paul,
I do like the color scheme that the navy and hard gold. I think
they're just vamping off of the Opens color scheme, but in reverse.
To sort of go back, Tim, you think that this should be played at like different courses?
Like the Super Bowl, this should be eligible to be played at any course that hosts a regular tour event. And whoever sponsors that regular tour event gets to be the sponsor of the players that year. Not dissimilar to the way college football used to do that when they moved around the college championship game between the four major bowls, and the way that the NFL moves the Super Bowl to any city that has a regular. And I think that would be great. Imagine the Players' Championship being played when it should be, I think, as the last event before the playoffs in August, the very last event before the FedEx Cup. How great that would be to move it around to, PGA West or Detroit or Pebble Beach or Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach is a U.S. Open course.
Or Harbor Town. Or Copperhead. That'd be great.
Altruistically, like, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, in some ways, I get your point. Like, the tour, the players' event could be a traveling circus that touches down all over the country, but they've built something different. And they've created a home for it. And it isn't feasible at these other locations. Forgetting the logistical, just their ability to do it from a content perspective for the investments they've made there. They have spent a lot of time. They almost have a goal, like in 40 years. It's just such a historic venue. But I get why you have no respect for it. Like, that doesn't offend me.
Paul wanted to chime in and ask Tim a question.
I'm just a little confused what to do with these picks coming from Tim, because he's the self-proclaimed big game hunter, but it doesn't sound like he thinks this is a big game.
He hit Rory here. That was like one of his...
Not my only win hit, but I did hit Rory here. I've hit a couple of winners here.
Yeah, you've hit one.
Hideki?
Well, the sad part is I have now, like, in my brain, Cust has told me that Hideki has won this tournament so many times that I've started to think that he's actually won it. Like, when I run through names, like, oh yeah, Hideki does have a win. It's like, no, he doesn't. He does not have a win here.
And
that is not true.
He's a major champion. He's a major champion, so he fits the bill.
He would fit that bill excellently. So, Tim, let's get to your picks. Who are your three for the Players' Championship?
So I have one long shot, one middle of the road, and one favorite. My long shot, and I debated between two long shots, but I picked one. I'm going to go with Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's been playing poorly, but he played really well here last time. He has 2 top 10s in the last 4 or 5 years here. The form is not great, but super long odds, so put him on your fantasy team.
Okay, so Matthew Fitzpatrick, was he on your radar, Geoff?
Not really.
Do you think Cust is taking guys that might go to live?
Okay, well, my first instinct is how's Cust going to do this? Because we know we're going to get to the other majors, and it's going, of the 12 major selections he makes this year, 10 of them will probably be live now.
You don't know that. You don't know that. I'm going to pick 3 players based on who I think are going to win those tournaments.
Can I tell you that your number 3 long shot guy for the Masters is going to be Phil?
How about the guy who won yesterday?
I mean,
the Masters.
I mean, he's not going to be super long odds anymore unless you bet him right now.
We'll see. I still think come April, I think Sergio will still probably have 3 digits behind his name.
I mean, that's probably a bet for me if Sergio has 3 digits by his name. He's playing great golf right now.
He has been playing excellent golf, yes.
And he's very
Luke
motivated.
Donald is watching.
But you don't need to be informed to play well at the Masters. Like Phil finished second there 2 years ago and had no form. So
sure, but he
It
didn't.
was like the rainy, weird one, right?
It was.
like every fourth Masters has got like rain and weird conditions. Like Tiger won in rain and weird conditions.
I'm not dismissing Rahm's win. I'm just replaying it in my head. It was
it was one of the ones that weather affected.
Yeah, that was the one where Rahm and Brooks were paired together in the final, but they had to finish round 3 and then go into round 4, and they got stuck behind Victor and Cantlay, and Brooks was losing his mind the entire time.
Brooks lost his mind at Sam Bennett, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
Couldn't believe how long that kid was taking.
What happened to Sam Bennett? All right, so Matthew Fitzpatrick coming in. That is a true dark horse long shot, Cust. I like it. Who's number 2?
Thank you. Number 2 is Hideki.
Hideki?
He has good track record. Has good track records at Pete Dye courses. Is a major champion. Has a win this season.
Has a win here.
And as far as broke the course record, right? Didn't he shoot 63? That was the course record, 9 under par. So anyway, I like Hideki this week.
Also, that
put him on your team.
That course record, I believe Tom Hoagie has the course record here from 2 years ago. I believe he shot a 62 because
at the time it was the course record,
but it didn't count because they didn't finish the first round.
Well, he finished his round.
Yeah, but the round, but the round doesn't count, so it doesn't go on.
I'm not so sure how that's any more legitimate than Cameron Smith winning on Tuesday night. But anyway.
Yeah, they ended up playing. That was the year that the first round ended on Saturday because it was hurricane conditions the entire time. All right, so Hideki's not really a mid-range pick here. He's 25-1. He's like the 8th favorite.
Okay. Well, my favorite, I'm picking Scottie to win. Okay. This is my time to use him.
All right, I think that's a good call.
Good on die courses, good at this course, has won it twice. Hasn't really played that great all year and still is turning out respectable finishes. So this is the time to use him.
I will give you, too, that even last week, he gained 11 strokes tee to green at Bay Hill. He just lost over 5 on the greens. I know because I watched him.
Shocking.
I watched him. I just watched him miss so many putts inside 4 feet throughout the course of the entire weekend. I was like, maybe Scottie can stage a comeback. It's funny that every time I think that Scottie's going to stay, if I don't have a guy at the top of the leaderboard, Scottie's missing every 4-foot putt and he's not coming back. If my guy is winning by 4, Scheffler is making everything and ends up winning by 3. This is how it works. So you need one of my guys to get in contention, Tim, and then Scheffler will be 8 back going into Sunday and win by 4.
Okay. Well,
obviously I like the pick. It's Scottie Scheffler. Tim pulling him out of the chamber here for the one and done. I think that is the move. I probably would have done that myself had he not. What are you supposed to say? The guy's supposed to win. I just like making outright cards, so I'm not betting him.
It's tough to do at 4-1. So you have a 4-1, a 25 or 30-1. What is Fitzpatrick on the betting board? 100-1. 100-1.
So. I looked at Lucas Glover long and hard too. Didn't go with him. I was debating him.
Why were you interested in the glove?
Major champion who has historically not played well here, but did have 1 or 2 really good finishes. Just thought, and I think he played well in one of the tournaments earlier this year. And I was doing some research. So anyway, I was thinking about him.
Tim,
thinking about Potgieter too, but
what really? Why were you thinking about Potgieter?
What's he going to do here?
He really should have 2 wins this year. If he doesn't shoot 7 over par at the Genesis, he probably wins.
Are you? Firstly, it was the Farmers, not
no,
the Genesis.
Was it the Farmers? Sorry, he doesn't shoot 7 over par that day. He probably would win, and he probably should have won at Mexico. So he could have 2 wins to his name right now.
Am I
And,
allowed to
like-
just give golfers I like wins that don't have them?
I didn't say he has them. I said he almost has them. And like, I am a big fan of South African golfers. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Christo Lamprecht, and just like the big, strong, tall South African golfers. I think that's a good model for success in golf, like the O'Neill's approach. So anyway, I liked Potgieter, and like I wanted.
But you
to
don't
see
hold on.
I
You
also
don't
like
see any issues
Chandler
with like
Phillips.
the course fit for Potgieter here?
Again, I don't take course fit that too much into consideration on this place because it's such a weird, goofy course where anything can happen.
But doesn't it take away his absolute strength? Like,
Yeah.
isn't that out of the bag?
Yeah,
here?
okay,
If
so
he can hit it straight, he has the biggest advantage if he can just hit it straight.
Okay.
But I mean, if he's going to win because he hits it straight.
I don't disagree with that logic, but I agree with Geoff that you really do diminish the one thing that he does better than everyone else. And yes, Rory has won here, but Rory has also struggled here at the same time. And even the year that Bryson ended up coming in second, he didn't even hit driver off the tee. He's like, I spray this too much. I need to keep it in play. I'm going to hit 4-iron. And that's what he did and
But
came in
his
second.
4-iron goes as far as Brian Harmon's driver. So, like,
Sure,
You're right.
Bryson can do that, and maybe Potgieter can do that too. I just don't think he's on the same level as Bryson.
no, I don't think so either. But like, he's a deep one, and Cam mentioned he liked Chandler Phillips, so I'm going to cheer for him too.
Had you ever heard of Chandler Phillips before Cam mentioned his name?
Absolutely not. But there's not many people in this field I'm cheering against, except one or two. So if he
Who?
can do well, that's fine.
All right, who are
I'm curious.
who are the three guys that you're cheering against? Who is not going to win the Players' Championship?
Well,
I have
cheering
a big-
against and not going to win are two different.
Well, both. I really am not. I'm not supporting Laurie Cantor in this tournament.
Okay, so this is a big talking point. I brought this up on the research show, and I don't understand how he's allowed to play in this tournament. And if he
I don't understand either.
if he can play in this tournament, and they let him play, and he tees off, does that give the floodgates open to anyone who wants to come back because this is precedent?
I guess if you're in good standing on the DP World Tour.
I mean, maybe that's the move, that if Brooks and Bryson, and I mean, it doesn't seem like Bryson wants to come back. It kind of seems like Brooks does. So let's say his live contract runs out. If people don't know, Laurie Cantor was a full-time live player the first year of live. He was a reserve the second year, and then he didn't qualify. So now he's back on the DP World Tour. He has a win, a second, and a third. He's up into the top 50 into the world, which gets him into this tournament. But he's also a former full-time live player, which is somewhat interesting in this aspect, that maybe they'll make the penance that the guys have to have, since the PGA like owns most of the DP World Tour now, is that you have to go play so many events in Europe or something.
Yeah, I don't care for it. I feel like if you're going to leave the tour, then leave the tour. I don't know why you. So I don't think him being successful.
But he was
here
never
would be-
on the tour.
Yeah, he was never
Well,
on
he was
he was never on the PGA Tour. In fairness, he never
It just
gave.
would not be good for golf in general. I don't think if people
But
can
if he
feel like
is
they can abandon
settled-
ship.
If he has settled his DP World Tour situation,
I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed. I'm just saying I'm surprised they allowed it.
so
And I don't think
this is a
I don't think
He
it would be
is-
good for golf. I think it would prevent the merger
you
from
are
happening.
just okay. Hold on.
I think it would be a
Let's
delay.
call this out for what it is. He is like your Benedict Arnold, and you just are.
I didn't say
will
that.
Take no part in this.
I didn't say that. What I
I-
think is that his success here might prevent the thing that all of us really want, which is sort of a unification of the various leagues. And this might say to people, well, instead of pushing for unification, I can just jump ship and try to get back. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's the right way
If
to go.
you earn it, if you can earn your way back.
He did. He didn't jump ship though. He just was off of live. It's not.
No, I didn't say he was, but I'm saying it might encourage people to want to jump ship.
Pardon my
like,
ignorance.
I-
He
I'm
got kicked off live because he wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I think so. The first year he didn't qualify enough. Or they signed John Rahm and he brought 4 guys with him. They're like, no more room for Laurie Cantor. Take a hike, pal. You know, he already got his check. He was fine. Remember how much you loved Laurie Cantor when he signed to live? He was your guy.
Anyway, I've changed my mind. I'm allowed to do that.
So you're rooting against Cantor. Who else are you rooting against?
Against Morikawa. I'm tired of this.
Oh,
I'm tired of this. Oh, we should be winning, and then he lost. And like there's no excuse for him to have lost that tournament yesterday.
Agreed.
When he goes up 3 there, a player of his caliber has got to close the door every single time.
Agreed.
And he didn't blow up. He was like Rory at LA Country Club. He just stopped doing anything but making pars. Like I didn't like it.
He didn't lose. He didn't win. Like you got to go. Like, he just lost.
He just decided to shift into cruise, and Henley caught him. Like anyway, so I'm cheering against.
I
him
haven't bet
I don't want to.
Morikawa. I haven't bet Morikawa through about 2 years here. You doing this though you might be what he needs.
Is there?
And the last person is Highsmith.
What? He's a lefty with he is a lefty with a goofy hat. He's you.
Because everyone's telling me, "Oh, you're going to love this guy." Well, no, you know what? I'm going to show them by saying, "No, I don't. I'm not so easy to predict. I'm not such a color by numbers person." So make him the third person.
So you're
actually so easy to predict.
Well, clearly not.
You're turning on Laurie Canner because he used to wave a live flag and doesn't anymore, and he's playing on the other tour.
You think that's disrespectful?
I mean, what's it to him? He can't play on live anymore.
What's more disrespectful, that or when a friend offers to pay for this really nice exotic dinner and you won't take a bite, but another friend invites you to dip a banana in marinara sauce and you go right ahead and eat it anyway?
I threw it up.
You still attempted to eat it. Something you wouldn't dare do at a restaurant.
Hold on a second. You want me to do that? I don't want to run through a nice restaurant gagging some of their food.
Look, you go ahead and tell yourself whatever you need to say to feel better about yourself.
Listen.
I was shocked by that. And it didn't take much prodding either, I should note.
Okay.
That is, I would have tried that, I think, at the restaurant. I would have found that gross.
Really?
But things that don't go together, or textures, or things that aren't like my brain hasn't recognized yet. Like, yeah, just oh, that was so disgusting. And I ate a lot of that meal. I did. And for whatever I didn't eat, I think I was pretty, I compensated the host.
Okay, I don't really have any idea what you're talking about, so we can move on from that. I did want to bring up Liv over the weekend, Cust. I had a great weekend, thanks to your main man, Phil, who ended up inside the top 5, 125-1. If he had won, it would have been a very substantial payday for me, but third is still good enough. I will not complain about that. If this wasn't Liv, and I think this is sort of tantamount to why Liv doesn't matter. If a 54-year-old Phil Mickelson came inside the top 5 of basically any tournament on the PGA Tour, it would be a big story. No one even knows this happened.
I think that's fair. It did happen at a time of day when people in North America aren't watching television.
I'll tell you why it happened. I'll tell you why no one cared or no one realized. To my ultimate point, these fucking guys, okay? There's an ulterior motive there. And it's not to make the sport better. It's not even for their own players. And it's certainly not for the fans. They ran head-to-head with Bay Hill a couple weeks after running head-to-head with Genesis. Even for Phil Mickelson, Pat, what did that prove? My bandwidth point. I don't care what time of the day it's at. The golf niche consciousness, the bandwidth is not big enough for anything that happens on Live when it's running the same goddamn weekend as freaking Bay Hill. And they'll get nothing out of it. Congrats, Sergio. Hope Luke was watching.
Yeah, I think Luke was watching. Sergio has made a big point about that. That's why I like that call potentially for the Masters for Sergio, Tim, is that he seems determined to go make the Ryder Cup team. Again, he's playing well enough to do it right now. He'd probably have to play a few DP World Tour tournaments, which he will, I think, along the way in order to do that, or spike at the Masters, something like that, because the Masters is the only major that he's in right now. But to Jeff's point, they just ran a tournament against the Genesis, an elevated event, probably the best tournament of the year, quality-wise, outside of Pebble Beach and Genesis were the two, and then you're going to get Bay Hill and the Players. They decided to go head-to-head with the Genesis and then not go head-to-head with Mexico or the Cognizant Classic, and they're running another tournament this week against the Players.
Oh, my, they are?
Yeah.
They're as dumb as they are rich.
I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. It's not the schedule that I would produce, but when you're I guess they must figure when you're across the world and you're not really going head to head against anything.
You are,
I
though,
guess that's
because you are, because there's only enough golf consciousness. Like outside
or
of
you're saying, I don't care what the United States does. I'm trying to build a global league. And so building my schedule around the American tour is not like, I don't know. I don't agree with it, but I think that's
okay,
probably
hold
the
on,
thought
hold
process.
on. Like, what is it? Is it a global league? Because I ask about a global league, but it doesn't. It registers like a fart in the wind anywhere. And then people will come back. Well, you know, it's like it's global, but when the events are happening, it's actually just like a regional event.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You make good points. I can't argue against it.
And absolutely, that Sergio stuff will be awesome. Hopefully, it lasts. It'll be fun to track through the summer. You're absolutely right about that determination, Pat, and that's one of the characteristics through all Sergio's idiosyncrasies that I think are just absolutely fabulous. I will say, I've said it a few times, I've already laid wood to Europe plus 150. I don't give a fuck. And the fact that Keegan's going to like have to be a player captain, Luke Donald is going to be 3 steps ahead of this guy at every fucking turn. Plus 150, the wood.
I would just suggest to anyone, either Keegan or Luke Donald, to take a look at what Mike Weir's strategy was at the President's Cup. You just do the opposite of that, and maybe you'll have a good chance, Tim.
You could not do a much worse strategy.
So we'll let you get out of here in a second, but you had brought up something before the show, which means it's probably time for a mini version of Cust Corner!
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
It's not what people are calling it.
Are you going to actually get rid of all your technology?
No, I'd like to downsize though.
What was the breaking point on this?
Just everything. It's all the emails and the apps and the this online and that online. It's exhausting.
There had to
Twitter's
have,
been out for the last 20 minutes.
well, just hold on a second. What was the impetus of there? There had to have been a breaking point for you. Like, did you get a work email on the weekend and you panicked?
No. It's just in general. I'm just tired of the internet, of just technology in general. I'd like to take a darkness retreat for like a week from all of it.
You can go do that. You and your boy Aaron Rodgers can go do some ayahuasca down in Costa Rica or something like that, and you'll be fine. I don't think they allow phones in there. At the White Lotus this year, you have to put your phones away.
I'm in a foul mood because of the change in the time. That's all.
And we asked you to download the Zoom app on your phone so you could talk to us, and it sounds great.
Yeah, but I'm not comfortable downloading apps because I'm always worried I'll be charged for something.
What if we
They
called
don't
it?
even have your information. They don't have your cards, remember?
Yeah, but the Apple Store would.
You think you're just going to get a letter in the mail from Zoom?
No, I
Like
suppose
an invoice?
not. No, I suppose not.
What if they called it the McDonald's Zoom app? Would you feel comfortable downloading it then?
I haven't been going to McDonald's.
There you go.
Have you heard they've called it McDavid's?
I have heard that. I haven't been going. Been avoiding it.
All right. Well, we'll
Not
let
just
you.
yes, in general.
Before he goes, though, like this is the hardest time of the year for Tim because he's mentioned how much the clocks rattle him. And at least like when he can golf, I think he accepts some of like the drawbacks that he sees with the summer. But we are now in this window where the clocks are where he doesn't want them, and it's not truly nice enough outside for him to golf. So he's truly in like a downtrodden mood.
And everybody keeps saying how great it is that, oh, look, it's 6:45. Look how light it is. It's like, I don't like that. Okay? I don't want to celebrate that.
I personally love it. My mood has already shifted to being much, much happier.
Well, whatever you've gained, I have lost.
Well, I'm going to take that as a big win for myself. I don't like to see you down in the dumps, but maybe you'll hit a winner with Scottie, Hideki, or Fitz this week.
That'd be great.
And there we are. Well, I want to thank you for being on the line today, Tim ANDERCURSED.
Tim ANDERCURSED.
Daylight savings came into effect March 9th. And now is the perfect time to optimize your morning routine now that more sunlight is greeting you in the morning. How is AG1 helping you shake off any lingering morning grogginess and fully embrace those brighter mornings? How does AG1 and the taste of it set the tone for a longer, productive, more energized day? Well, it's easy. You get up in the morning and you take the Pat Mayo recipe. You put in about 3/4 of a cup of water, top it off with a little orange juice, then boom, scoop of AG1, shake that up. I even put some protein powder into it too if I'm lifting that day to make sure that I hit my protein needs along with all of the extra nutrients that I'm getting into my body, and boom, my gut feels great, I got a ton of energy, and I'm ready to take on the day. When it comes to my health, I want something I can trust, and that's why I choose AG1. With science-backed ingredients and real benefits I can feel, AG1 makes it easy to support overall wellness every day. And that's why I've been partnering with AG1 for so long. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/mayo to get this offer. That's drinkag1/mayo to start your new year on a healthier note. Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime force, and playoffs on the line golf with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. The playoffs are here Monday, March 17th. 1 seed LA versus 4 seed New York at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN+. Then Tuesday, March 18th, 2 seed The Bay against 3 seed Atlanta at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ESPN+. Tune in to catch all TGL playoff action. Keep up. It's golf. All right, let's dig in. I've already given out 2 bets so far because I do want to wait until the weather is fully formed and I know the tee times, Jeff, before I really invest too much money. I wrote about that last week and still didn't do it. I don't want to make that mistake again. However, the number on Straka was too good on Friday, so 60-1 on Seb Straka. I am in on. I'm seeing 55 as top of the market right now. Maybe that ends up coming back down, but I would imagine he's going to be a pretty popular bet with a win already this year with a bunch of top 10s. We're back on Bermuda. This would also be a big level up for him. And I took Nick Taylor 125-1 with 8 placement points as well. I just don't understand how Nick Taylor can't play this tournament well. I wrote about him in the column. He has gained over 4.2 strokes on approach at the Players 3 of his past 4 trips and has nothing to show for it. He's one of the most accurate players. He's one of the best iron players. He's probably going to miss the cut, but for whatever reason, even if it's against Scottie or Morikawa or Rory or whoever it is, if Nick Taylor's name is on that leaderboard on Sunday, I think he has a legitimate shot of winning.
I mean, he certainly brings win equity for that part of the board. I really do like the Straka shout, though. 60 seems there's still a 60 that I'm seeing. Hopefully, it's still up there for a couple more hours. I'll be able to go get it, but that'll be the one of those 2. I'm not going. I need to just think of like which 2-pack I'm playing at the top, to be perfectly honest.
All right, well, let's go through that then. The very top of the board is two-time defending champion Scottie Scheffler, the first player ever to win the Players' Championship in consecutive years. He's going for a 3-peat. He's 5-1. It's not bad. You know, for Scottie, I mean, it is bad, but 5-1 is better than we've been seeing recently, although it's a much bigger field with 144 players this time around. Rory is 9-1. Morikawa is 16-1. JT Ludwig, both 20-1. Xander is 22, who put together a pretty nice Sunday, playing by himself at API, ended up shooting a 69, by far his best of the week. So maybe coming off the injury, he's found a little bit of form. Then you got Hideki, Tommy, Cantley, and Henley. That's the rest of it from 30 down to 40. What do you think?
Scottie for 3-0 would be crazy, like crazy impressive, like everything he seems to do. 10-1 on, I'm seeing as a high number for Rory. Pat, if you could compare Rory to players in any other sport, like, do you have a comparison?
Alex
in the
Ovechkin.
sense that yeah, I was thinking more like Brett Favre.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but it's not though, because when Favre flamed out, he was like actively bad. Rory never
Okay, but
flames
now
out,
we're
and
still like-
but Rory's never actively bad. He's just like not A+. Like we get a lot of B- Rory, which is good for T9.
Okay, so you're right, but like we're not at the end yet, and I'm kind of just like cutting off a couple years at like the very end of Brett, despite him being good. But more so, I just saw people discussing on Twitter last week for like how amazing Rory is. Have we ever seen like a player that I guess maybe you'd say Phil, like a high end player who like was so good, but at times would make like the silliest or the dumbest mistakes. He just like he's able to get away with them so much, but it just seems like he kind of shoots himself in the foot more than it seems like any other all-time greats that I can remember. And that's why the Favre thing, like, be like, oh my God, it's going amazing. Then he would just make like the crazy, and trying to do too much sometimes, he'd make the craziest attempt at something that would backfire, but you'd always take the good. The good was so good that you'd always just like accept the bad.
I think that there maybe I don't find that Rory does that as much. Like, yeah, he has these critical mistakes, but everyone has critical mistakes in golf. It's just his are so pronounced because he's always there. That's sort of the case that I've been making about Rory, that if he just simply finished T67 every single week, no one would care. No one would chalk up these 3-foot misses. It's just a bit more amplified when it happens on the 71st hole of a major, and if you make the putt, you win the major. That's why I think it's more like Ovechkin, where Ovechkin got his, he became an all-time great. He's going to break Gretzky's record sometime soon. But when people think of like the best players of all time, I don't think that they're putting Ovechkin into that. They're like, no, Crosby's way better than Alex Ovechkin. Although Ovechkin's going to lead everyone in goals ever.
I mean, I say since I gave you the question on the spot, that's actually a freaking like 5-star answer. Since I kind of put you right on the spot with it, you had it ready to go. So good job.
That was the first name that popped into my mind. That there was always a floor with Ovechkin too, even on like those Capital teams, which like weren't the best. He made them really good and made them competitive every year. And then he started to take shit because they never won. And they're like, well, the team's not all that good.
Again, another great point. The floor with Rory is always so freaking high.
Like Rory hasn't finished worse than 17th in any tournament this year. And he has a win. And did he win overseas? No, he has a 4th overseas too. So he has no finish outside the top 20 so far this year. And he won a signature event. But he sucks. He's a loser.
Yeah. I mean, I remember him in the Middle East. It looked like he had a C game and he was still like right there.
And I will say the iron game has been bad so far this year, which is not a good corollary for the Players' Championship. He lost 2.5 strokes at Bay Hill. He was less than 1 at Torrey Pines. Gained a bunch at Pebble Beach, which is good to see, and that is a shorter course, so maybe that jibes a little bit more. 3.7 on approach. Lost at the Tour Championship last year. Lost at St. Jude last year. Like all throughout the playoffs, his irons have been bad. His irons have not been good, and there's only been one player at the Players' Championship over the past 10 years who's won this tournament with a bad iron performance, and that was Webb Simpson.
Can I guess?
The answer was Webb Simpson. He just made everything, and he won by 1 billion strokes.
Remember a lot of those Webb chip-ins.
They weren't even chip-ins. He was just putting from off the green. I don't have the stats for it because it's not something that they track. But a lot like Heritage in a weird way, if you are bad around the greens, there are spots where you can putt from off the greens here. We saw that at Pinehurst last year as well. So if you have someone with like an abysmal chipping game, I don't know if they're going to be any better with a Texas wedge in their hand. But remember Stuart Sink did that to Morikawa at the Heritage like 5 years ago? Like Sink was having all these problems chipping. Morikawa was pretty close to Sink. And then Sink just started putting from off the green. He was lights out.
Remember that Sink win?
I do, because I had Morikawa. It sucked. I have some nice wins with Morikawa. I was there for a major. I was there for workday. But I have a lot of heartbreak and concession I was there for him with too. But a lot of heartbreaking second place finishes for him too.
I remember that Sink win vividly just because of a Dave Tyndall tout. I've already shouted out Dave for hitting Henley yesterday. But before that tournament, he did this like huge Twitter post on how Sink has played after majors. And that's when the Heritage wasn't elevated. So it was a pretty shitty out of the majors field. He's like 90 or 100 to 1 and he hit it. So that's my memory from that one. Morikawa T2 though. That's a thing.
Yeah, so there's your bet for the week. Exacta. Scottie to win, even though he's ANDERCURSED. I mean, Scottie's good enough to overcome the ANDERCURSE. Morikawa in second. Print your money. It's probably like 125 to 1.
Pat, I mean, we just spoke with Tim, and you ran through it for the people. Like, not only the winners since we've gone to March, the winners really of the last 10 years. And to Tim's point, like the Ricky one, that was in his bubble of like T5ing majors for 3 straight years. Like that was his zone. So like we have one outlier in 10 years at this goddamn place. I mean, maybe Webb's a bit of an outlier too, but I guess he gets the major check.
Yeah, and that was in the middle of the Webb resurgence too.
He had just won Scottsdale that year, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the Hideki thing started popping into my mind. It's like a lot of guys who have won at Scottsdale have won at the Players' Championship as well. Both TPC courses, they've officially changed the putting greens from Bermuda grass to Poa Trevalis, so it's the overseed right now, which is exactly the same as it is at TPC Scottsdale. So we've seen a lot of crossover there. So you had Ricky, you had Webb, obviously Scheffler has won both, and Hideki has won. And Hideki is, well, that's another reason why I wanted to go to Nick Taylor. The problem with Nick Taylor is he's never played well in a strong field event, like ever in his life. The only one was actually at Phoenix. The year it was the elevated event, and he came third to Rahm and Scottie.
Yeah, that's fair. But that, listen, I'm putting air in some tires here. That like, I mean, I can't compare to any elevateds. But that Canada Open was sneakily had some top heavy action.
Yeah, it was basically the rest of the world versus Great Britain as the top players in that field.
You're right.
When you take every good American player out of the mix, it becomes a little bit easier to win.
Yeah, true.
So just taking a look at the strokes gained approach numbers. Again, this is in the article that's on X. You retweet that, you get into a draw for $200. Super easy stuff. Smash a like and sub to the channel while you're here as well. Scottie was 7th in approach last year, 4th the year before. These are for the winners. Cam Smith was 5th, Thomas was 5th, Rory was 6th. That's since it's been to March. No one has finished worse than 7th for the week in strokes gained approach and won this tournament. Now, Webb won, being 92nd in the field in strokes gained approach. Siwoo was 16th. Those are the two outliers. Day was 9th, Ricky was 3rd, Keimer was 4th, Woods was 2nd, Kuchar was 5th. So down the line, if you are not hitting your irons well, unless you're Webb Simpson, you got no chance at this tournament.
So, to no one's surprise, Pat, I do have a bet in, and I made it when he won the Genesis, when DK had the early players lines. I bet Ludwig at 22 to 1.
And he's back there now.
He's back there. Yeah, there's a 20 out there. Seems fairly, I don't put it this way. I kind of wish, and I couldn't get in on Straka because they only let me bet so much early on that site. And I maxed that all out on Ludwig. And in a perfect world, I kind of wish I was able to bet some Straka already. And then, like on a Monday morning, they'll let me bet. And I've gotten in on this Ludwig. But I am sort of, how do you put this? I am very tempted to get, I don't know if cocky's the right word, but having like really never bet the guy. I kind of want to bet Morikawa. And I know Tim just said he can't win, but between Morikawa or Xander, like that's who I kind of want to go with Ludwig. Xander, maybe it's too soon, but Pat, starting your return from injury where you say you haven't played 18 holes and you've been on a ball count at Bay Hill is truly diabolical. So I don't want to hold it against him too much. And you mentioned he finished strong. He came on, almost won this thing a year ago. I think he'll be very comfortable. 22 to 1. It seems like there might be a 25 out there that I don't have access to, but yeah, I think I'm just going to be pretty small and I'm not going deep.
So to look at Xander's performance upon his return, so his round by round stats, it was really round 3 that was horrible for him. He had a bad round 1. A lot of guys had a bad round 1 playing in that awful wind condition earlier on in the day. The splits really did end up working out for the first 2 days. Then guys were able to catch up. However, with him, it was chipping and putting. Like, his ball striking was shockingly good in round one. He gained, let's see here, off the tee, he gained a stroke and he gained 1.2 on approach. That would lead you to believe that he's hitting the ball really, really well. He lost 2 strokes around the green and 3 strokes putting in the first round. And then he was able to, like, the around the green game was really bad for him each of the first 3 rounds. Minus 1.8, minus 1.8, minus 2.3. That's like an all-time. I kind of want to look at this right now. Is that the worst chipping performance in the career of Xander Schauffele? Let's find out. It was. Never in his career has he been that bad around the green. So I would wager it's either rust or a big outlier, one of the two. Maybe he shook that off because in the final round he wasn't as bad on or around the greens. So that's somewhat encouraging, I think.
If you went and played golf today, Pat,
I'm going to Pinehurst in 10 days, and it's going to be the first time I've swung a few clubs at the Sim, but other than that, I haven't played an actual round of golf since last October. So
what's in other than the golf? What's in Pinehurst? Just a boys trip?
Boys trip. We're going to play. Me and the other Tim are going to play with a couple buddies. We're playing like 6 rounds at Pinehurst. So if you're in the
like you're getting Cust on a plane?
No, Cust. It was too much money for Cust. It's not too much money for Cust. But you know how. Did you see how freaked out he was about Zoom potentially charging him something? Come on now.
When he thinks like the fanciest stuff in the world should cost way below it cost, like it's not that it's too much money. His just bearings are off. He's like a GM that's working on the old market.
That's actually a really good call. I hadn't thought about that, but put it this way. The trip costs about as much as Cust thought an all-inclusive resort would cost for Wagyu steak, the fancy, like when Cust said that there should be an all-inclusive that has the best of everything and it should only cost $3,000. This is slightly less than that, but it's right around the same ballpark.
Yeah, no, this adds up. This adds up perfectly. Like he just hasn't come to grips with the changing market factors on at the wide receiver position, and he's still working on old numbies, and he's not budging, and he's getting left at home. I don't remember where. Oh,
I should point out, you can vote in the Custies. That's down in the description right now. If the link doesn't work, I'll have that updated by the end of the day. We've now hit too many votes for the second time. So voting is going to close sometime within the next 3 weeks. So if you haven't got your votes in for the Custies, please go do that now. Once I get the updated link, I'll have it updated in the podcast and in the description of the video. But yes, if you want to hear Tim's all-inclusive takes, then, I totally forgot to ask him something. Remind me to ask him. Someone asked me this morning to ask Tim about, what the hell is it called? It's the self-driving ride share.
Oh, I saw Arch. Or I saw the Mannings do a commercial, Archie and his grandpa.
Yeah, there's one for Waymo that obviously...
Waymo.
Well, this guy's entire point was... Obviously, it would freak Tim out if he got into a car that didn't have a driver. But on the other side, you don't have to tip. Like, balancing the scales, how does that work out?
He'd rather a driver and tip really shit.
That's true. Or not
right? Like, that would be... give me the driver and I can still lowball the guy. That would be Tim's out. But, I mean, listen, I'll never compare us to these guys, but just like generic golf talk for a second. Like I haven't swung a club in forever. I'll play a couple times this week. Minus a breakfast ball. Like, my drive is gonna be fine. It'll be good. My first 7-iron of the day, like it is getting in the air. I have no doubt about it.
See, I'm not the same. I mean, when I played with you,
but chipping.
Yeah, but when I played with you at your course,
be a shit show.
When I played with you at your course last year, I just gotten off a plane, playing clubs that weren't mine for the first time. We got like 10 minutes on the range. Like I kind of like scuffed the first ball. I put the next like wedge directly in front of me into the hazard. It took me like 5 holes to like get myself right.
I guess so. Those were also Reynolds. But yeah, I mean, again, having played, I'm just saying, it's like a very known thing. Like the chip, it's just such a feel thing. Like I don't give a shit how he chipped last week in the first round or two off an injury. That's not gonna count me out. You just have to decide if you think, is it just maybe a little too soon to actually ask him to win? And when you bet a guy flirting with a 20, you just sort of have a different expectation of what you just have a different mindset expectation of what you're going to get out of this thing. But let me ask you, who'd you rather, Xander or Colin?
Colin, and I think I'd rather Ludwig than Xander too. Just around the similar number. Like he got it going. He got a case of the SADS on Saturday at Bay Hill, man. It turned out really bad for him. And then obviously comes back on Sunday as gangbusters. So I don't really worry about him. And he was top 10 at the Players last year too. It's not like his game doesn't translate. And they'll be around the same number.
We will see. I almost bet because I mentioned thought maybe I should get some bets in before I left for my trip, where I actually could still get in the books. And with the Players, a lot of the books had early lines out. I was looking at a Colin 18. So him losing at the line yesterday dropped it 2 points, but that doesn't bother me. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the 18s early, I was like, I'm gonna be cocky. Maybe he doesn't have a great weekend, like this thing will push to 20. Obviously, that was probably a silly thought, but I almost bet an 18, which would have been before Saturday. So before he took hold of the tournament, 16, well, not the same number, kind of feels like the same number. Yeah, I don't know, Ludwig, Colin, that could be done. That could be me.
I like Ludwig Colin better than like Scottie Rory. Obviously, I like Scottie a lot, but 5
Scottie
to 1.
Rory, what do you mean?
Like if you're thinking about the favorites, I'm not going to bet Scottie at 5 to 1. I'd rather have the combo of Ludwig and Colin, and I just don't really want to bet Rory. So that would be the way that I would go about that. I do want to say that if anyone is in the Pinehurst area and has some tips, I'm going to be staying at the resort, Mayo Media Inc. at gmail.com. If you got anything I should be doing in Pinehurst, I have a friend who's looking for weed, so if you can hook that up, that'd be great.
Hit up Kenny. I think he did a big trip. I mean, listen, you and Kenny might be looking for different things
I think
night,
so.
But maybe I'm just saying, I think Kenny was at one of those stay and plays there last year for a while. I remember the pictures he was posting.
This from our main man, DJ Jazzy Jeff Ulrich, at the Fantasy Grind on Twitter. Players Championship trends, 15 of the past 16 winners had a previous best finish of T23 or better at TPC Sawgrass. Do you know who the only outlier is of that mix? Think recently.
Cam Smith.
Scottie Scheffler.
Too recent.
Yeah, he was before his back-to-back wins, he was miscut T55 in his only other 2 player championship experiences. And then the past 8 winners have been T33 or better in their start directly prior to the Players. So that would actually take Xander off the board if you're just going by trends.
See, that's a weird trend because Bay Hill, I guess everyone always played Bay Hill.
They didn't, though. Not everyone played it.
I know a lot of, Cantley never played it. For the most part, until it became elevated. I'm trying to think. Was Bay Hill always right before the Players, though?
Not always, because it used to be in May.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Bay Hill can kick you so hard in the gut that I don't, and you could just be ready to move on to the Players. That I don't know. That I'm not looking at that. Well, I'm still betting only good players.
So let's take last week out of the equation for a second. So this is from that article that's on X. Retweet it. Scottie Scheffler won the week before at Bay Hill and it's not so much about the wins, but he had a top 10 finish in 5 of his 6 starts to begin the year before his win last year. The year previous, Scheffler had a win and a top 12 finish in all 5 of his starts coming in. Now that's Scheffler. We know the 2-year run he's been on. Maybe he's an outlier. Let's swing it back a little bit. 2022, Cam Smith was top 15 in 4 of the 6 events prior to the win at the Players Championship. Justin Thomas was top 15 in 8 of 9 events prior to his win in 2021. Rory was top 6 in 5 straight events coming in. It does seem almost like more than any other tournament, that recent form matters the most of any of selecting a winner here. Top of the board, good form. That's one thing Xander does not have because of the injury.
I love everything you just said there. That has me zoned in a bit. It makes me reaffirms that what I want to do is maybe just what I should do.
So recent results.
Also, not having full access to all my books. I'm not getting crazy this week.
So
I'm not I've been away before, Pat, and I will light up my friends' phones like back home to like place bets. I need this. I need that. No, I don't. Just no.
I lit up Kirshner yesterday because I was like, 'cause I usually hit up you. I asked you about Straka, but you had been you were over your limit. You can only get 10 cents down on Straka. I was like, probably need a little bit more than that because I thought I'd lose the 60. Turns out I probably could have got the 60 if I just waited. But either way, shout out Brian Kirshner. Follow Brian Kirshner on Twitter. He got down some gish 60-1 on Seb Straka for me. So the players with the best form coming in. I mean, Scheffler is one of them. Michael Kim and Daniel Berger are like the other two.
Michael Kim, Daniel Berger. But let's go down the board, Pat. And
let's continue talking about the top of the board to get rid of some of these guys. We're not betting Scheffler, right?
I'm not.
And Xander kind of disqualifies himself from the trend line that we said. I don't love him at 22-1 or 24-1 or whatever you can get him at, just because I don't know where he's at right now. It seems like a lot right away returning from Marilyn Manson surgery. I get that he's more flexible these days, but it's going to take his body some time to adjust to that. And if he doesn't have like the peak of his game, I don't think that he can win right now. Even if he's back to 90% Xander this week, maybe that's good enough to win, but it's probably not at a course which we've seen. Guys from the back-ish can play their A-plus game and beat the very top-end guys. We haven't seen it recently, but if you don't have your A-plus game, it's going to be very difficult to win at Sawgrass because one bad shot, one bad chip essentially takes you out of this tournament. Morikawa, we'll see if he fits the trend lines. We'll go to Aberg, and we'll go to Justin Thomas because I had my eye on Justin Thomas. And if he had just finished better Sunday, he could not putt at all week. Nothing new for Justin Thomas, but he lost over 5 strokes putting. He gained 4 strokes tee to green. He was just a disaster on Sunday. It's like he just packed it in. Like once he didn't birdie one, that was just the end of it. He didn't care anymore. But coming into this event, he's been 2nd, 48th, 6th, 9th, 36th. So he does have 3 top 10 finishes in his past 5 starts. Ludwig has 2. He has 2 top 5s in 4 starts so far this season. Obviously, he got sick, and he still had a T22 at Arnold Palmer last week, despite the really horrid third round. Morikawa coming in does not have a finish worse than 17th with 2 runners-up so far in all of his 4 events in 2025.
Yeah, I think you've done a good job in maybe narrowing it down to those 2. I mean, just the way Justin is hitting those approaches, like week in, week out. I thought for sure I got early in the year, we did the shows like out of the gate, the preview. I was so confident Justin was going to come into the year like a gangbuster and pull something off early. He obviously hasn't yet, but the form has been outstanding. This is where I gave up on Xander last year. I had him for the win. He just again fell at the line. Clipped at the line, I should say, and I just I'm done. Me and you are just done for a bit, and then he went on to obviously boom on a lot of things. So yeah, I guess for me it's Justin or Colin, and Justin the highest. What's the biggest Justin you're seeing? 22.
I think is the best you can get him up to right now, and I don't know if I like that. The issue with Morikawa is just he has shown a propensity to not be able to putt on these greens at all. Not that he's a great putter anyway. In fact, he lost strokes putting, despite losing by a stroke to Russell Henley at Bay Hill. His tee to green game was just so off the charts good. And maybe he just spikes this week, like we saw at Concession that time, where he just gets to Florida and all of a sudden he's okay. And he just starts making his putts. Whenever you see that he's walking in 9-footers on Thursday, all of a sudden you're just like, okay, maybe we can get this going. Like when I had Spieth against him at Royal St. George's, that it was infuriating to watch Morikawa get it up and down from fescue and just make 17-foot par putts. He doesn't normally do this. This is an outlier, but that's how he ends up winning these big tournaments. And it does seem like the perfect skill fit for him. If you would point to any course on tour, any big event, it does seem like the players would be ideal for Morikawa. I'm kind of squishy on it. I think I might like Ludwig better, weirdly enough.
I'm as a not Morikawa guy. This is the one. This is the one where I'm most tempted to jump in, to try to call the shot for every reason you said. This just place looks like it would fit him perfectly. That being said, Pat, If I had to make a counter image to the last like year and a half of golf, like outside of Scottie lifting a trophy, it would be Colin like just bent over at the waist in just utter disbelief that he missed an 8-footer. Like that is the mental image I have of this guy over the last 2 years. Is him just like the torso just drops to cock level, and he's exasperated that another putt didn't drop.
We can say all that, but Russell Henley just won Bay Hill. So to think that Morikawa can't get across the finish line is
100. No. I do not. No, I'm not making it like he can't. I'm just making it like, do I want to invest in it? In the same way, it was like with. It is a more at the moment. It does feel like a higher shelf Henley.
Yeah,
because like everything clicks. Everything feels right.
Like Henley winning at Bay Hill, I feel like is akin to Herman winning the Open, or Zach Johnson winning the Masters. You so rarely get that type of player who does it. But Colin is kind of the best version of that player.
And at this course, I kind of think I could be okay. Having not I don't have I got my own battle scars from other golfers. They do not come from Colin Morikawa. Like a lot of my friends, our friends, have gotten them. But I have no problem playing that exact guy with the parameters we've laid out as to who actually fucking wins here.
So of note, Morikawa second at Arnold Palmer, second at the Century, second at the Tour Championship, second at Memorial, third at the Masters, fourth at the PGA Championship, fourth at Colonial, fourth in Scotland. It's just been... just bet the guy top 5. That seems to be the key.
The Colin Morikawa, each way. If you just every big tournament, you just emptied your clip on Morikawa win place. I mean, you obviously come up empty, but yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks I should just not talk golf outrights and just bet Ludwig with a placing every week. That's it. That's the card. That's the bet. I feel like I'd come out all right. But I like building cards too much and losing money responsibly.
A friendly reminder that there are 3 amazing contests on Underdog right now for best ball golf drafts, all starting at the Masters, the Albatross, the Scramble Returns, and the Big Albatross. $500K, $250K, and $200K prize pools for each of those tournaments. And if you wait a week or so, you're going to see 2 more pop up in the Pat Mayo Experience drafts, one for majors only and one from the Masters until the British Open. So there are 2 great ones, and those ones are going to be rake free. What you need to do in order to draft as many teams as possible, along with just watching the content, because I'll have strategy shows for all of this stuff, is use code Mayo at Underdog right now and get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. The best part is you can use those bonus funds to do your drafts, then you can use the rest of it for Pick'em, and you'll get a free pick for the Players' Championship this week. Code Mayo at Underdog right now, okay? Best ball drafts are available for everyone. Code Mayo at Underdog right now gets you that $1,000 deposit bonus. I know that you've already used Code Mayo, but you can draft, like I said, you can draft these best ball teams where you're at right now. I'm so fired up to get in the streets and start doing this stuff. I've made my cheat sheets. I've run through some of the cheaper tournaments, get a feel for where I'm at. I'm going to do some shows on this coming in the next week. Once the Pat Mayo Experience rake-free tournaments are out, I know that you won't be able to take advantage of that because you'll be back in Toronto by that point. But if you are in a place where you can do it, I suggest you start doing it right now.
Honestly, for your major tournament, I could see myself driving to Buffalo.
I love that. You did. You did well in it last year too.
I did fantastic. I cleaned up, and then it was great because I don't really access it at home. And then when I went back to the States at the end of major season, it was like a huge gift in my Underdog account. I'm fired up. I'm fired up for those.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say you had a buddy who just wants to put $100 down on this tournament. And when people see betting cards on Twitter, they're going to listen to this show. I'm going to end up making 6 bets on the players or whatever it is. I'm already in on Straka and Nick Taylor from way down the board, but that's what we like to do. We like to, give ourselves a little bit of out equity here as well in case one of these long shots wins. But let's just say it's your buddy who wants a sweat on Sunday afternoon to tune into the players and have some fun. $100 on Scottie, 5-1 to win 500. Is that the bet?
Honestly, it might be 100 on Morikawa. If you're telling me I got to get him to Sunday to have like a ticket he likes, like, look, you just read the placings.
Yeah. So like Scheffler, Morikawa, Ludwig, $100. I mean, $100 to win 2,200 on Ludwig is, it's a lot more fun than 100 into 500 on Scottie. But clearly, the bet would be on Scottie if you just had to make one.
Yeah, like our buddy Gabe Morency, 5-1. That's a great bet. But we've spoken about it many times. We do this act all the time. Like we're a guy hit Scottie at 5-1 on the internet Sunday. Like, read the comments. It's so funny.
Yeah. What a loser. You only won 5 times your money. Like, if you just want to bet, that's the bet, I think. I mean, I would probably take, I'm trying to think, is it Morikawa or is it Ludwig that I'd want the $100 on? Like, if I just had the 100 to throw down. Like, you wouldn't break it up. You're like, well, I'll take, I'll put 50 on Morikawa, and then I'll bet, 20 on Michael Kim. Like, you wouldn't do that. You'd be like, yeah, $100, just bet on one guy and roll it.
Yeah. Or like 50-50 tops, but there's no like card being built.
Yeah. Speaking of Morency is going to be live on the Pat Mayo Experience this Sunday night. Do you know why, Jeff?
March Madness.
March Madness bracket. We dominated and crushed. It's going to be me, Raza, and Gabe for the second consecutive year. Tune in. I believe it is 7 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. And maybe maybe Raza and I will do a players recap afterwards too, because the players will just be ending. I just thought about that. That's not great news for me. Hopefully,
and Morency's going to hit his Scottie at 5-1, and you guys will have all lost your golf bets. He'll be happy.
So beyond Scottie, let's go 30 through 100. Who down here that you like? Obviously, I'm in on Straka at 60-1. I do think he will be the most bet internet golfer of the week. Obviously, he's not going to take the most handle of anyone like at the sportsbook. That will be Scottie or Spieth or whoever. There was one really interesting number from this range that I wanted to shout out to you that could you envision this being the case even a year ago? Do you know what it is?
Are we going to talk about Victor?
That Spieth has better odds to win than Victor does.
No. I mean, would I have seen this a year ago? No. Would I be tempted to take that head-to-head action this week? Potentially.
I wouldn't, man. Do you know who fits those trend lines? Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, no. Well, you're right. Victor lost 6 strokes putting last week, and he actually struck the ball the best he's struck it in like half a year, maybe more. So maybe something is coming there. Maybe. But the rest of it is, is he going to chip well enough? 6 strokes putting?
In 2 rounds, too, because he didn't make the cut. So, man, maybe your head-to-head Victor over Spieth, if that's offered, would be the way to go. I think Spieth's kind of interesting, though. Maybe I'm here just for the content. And
What's his number?
70.
Okay.
I guess he's had. I mean, he came back coming off the wrist injury at Pebble Beach, but in his 2 tournaments, he's played 3 other tournaments. He missed the cut at Genesis, but he's 4th in Phoenix, 9th at Honda. Driving the ball really well.
Yeah, you know what? I want to roll back everything I said. I'm not looking to pick on Jordan. Not that I'd play the head-to-head anyway. Like opening up the sheet here, there's too many things that seem to be working. He's not a guy I'm looking to like pick on because that could backfire.
Okay, so who is it from this range that's not Straka that you like?
If you do, like, would you be? You might have been on him last week. It was so disappointing, but would you be willing to consider Mav again?
Yes. So the numbers suggest that I should be on Mav. He has a decent finish at the Players in the past. He got himself a case of the going bads caught in the rocks. He lost 6.2 strokes around the green. I think it all came on one hole, but I think he made 7 consecutive bogeys on Friday morning. I know this because I played an underdog play with him, Code Mayo, by the way, at underdog, over 3.5 birdies or better on that round where he shot 80. And do you know what he did? Had over 3.5. He had 4 birdies on the day and still shot an 80 on Friday. So I don't know really what was going on with him. He had a pretty decent round 1. it's not that I think it's an outlier. I don't know if he's on this level, and the miscut really does worry me. But back-to-back top 10s coming into that, that's why I was on him. I can see it, man, and I just wish his number was better. Like, he's 65 right now. Maybe that plummets a little bit more because I think that people will be off of him. I just worry that I bet on McNeely. It's like, oh shit, his run is actually over. Now he's back to being bad again.
That is fairly possible, but doesn't it feel like it's like a poor man's Colin who can actually drain all the putts?
No, because his irons just aren't that good. They can be, but like Colin's irons are elite level irons.
Elite. Yeah, I'm kind of just staring at like some peak events where.
Yeah, like when you stare at when he plays really well, of course he hit his irons well. Just look at some of those other tournaments. You don't normally see that from Mor. Even when Morikawa plays poorly, it's like, oh, he only gained 2.5 strokes with his irons, not -8.
Morikawa, though, in some ways feels like the dumbest bet in the sense that, like, am I betting Morikawa, like, just to extend the game? And by that, I mean, no, I don't want to take it. Like, I'm just trying to say, like, I feel like I'm just trying to give myself a chip in a chair on Sunday, but do I actually think he's going to win?
If you wanted to take like the lesser versions of Morikawa, you want to take that skill set and rein it in a little bit. Straka kind of is the medium tier version of what Morikawa is right now. Corey Connors, no, because Connors can't chip either. So that's also an issue. But I was encouraged to see where his game did come around because he'd been playing really poorly coming into this. I do think that he'll be a popular bet this week too. Like Glover is like the bottom of the barrel version of Morikawa. And it's funny that Cust brought him up because he does actually make some sense. Tom Kim is weirdly the guy. And I'm not betting Tom Kim because he has been god-awful. He can't even chip in on TGL anymore. But he would be that level of player. And Siwoo is another one, but Siwoo just like will go off the rails at any moment. What are Siwoo's odds right now? 60-1? Even after a bad Sunday, they will not hang you a good Siwoo number at the Players.
Willie Z lost 6 strokes putting last week, Pat, but was pretty much plus across the board.
I bet him to win.
And finished 22nd.
I know. He had a very nice Sunday to get himself back into it. That's 2 tournaments in a row where the putting has just destroyed him. And it's not fun to watch at all. But he has gained tee to green in every tournament except for the first 2 at the AT&T Pro-Am. And he gained 5.5 strokes tee to green. He's lost on approach once over his past 12 rounds. Like, the ball striking is there for him. But at the Players' Championship, at a tournament where you're going to have to hit your irons well, which he is doing, do you think he can make enough putts to win?
Probably not.
However, if
just looking at his player's resume.
But he's 85-1 now. He's not 50-1. He's not 35-1, which he probably would have been 2 months ago. That is more intriguing. The problem is that he's right next to guys that I do like. Like when we did the show on Friday, shout out to Ian, who was all over Morikawa, and that was going to be his bet, and he was betting it then before the API happened, which was actually a really good shout in terms of at least CLV. But Aaron Ryan, Michael Kim, man, 85-1. Like,
I don't mind that Aaron Rye. Like Aaron Rye feels like a banana stand this week. Like there's money in Aaron Rye. You just gotta like the outright is obviously a different convo, but I think there's money in Aaron Rye.
Like everyone feels like friend of the show Michael Kim is just going. He's on the Cinderella run. It's like when George Mason makes the Final Four, and just everyone's going to be on him on DraftKings this week. He's $5,900, but no one's going to bet him to win this tournament. We just talked about all the players, the winning profile of players, what they do coming into this tournament. He might be the hottest player on tour right now, and it's been sustained over the past 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, he's for surely the hottest player, like above 20-1. And you can make the case maybe he's hotter than those guys as well. Wow. The biggest number I'm seeing is a 90.
And think about the
I'll
guys that
probably be
we,
out of units.
but think about the players that we want to bet at 90-1 or above. It's all off this potential, right? Hey, Will Zalatoris feels like he's going to be a big time player someday. He's 85-1. Let's bet on him. Maybe he breaks out here. Minwoo Lee would be another one. Like, hey, Minwoo's had a nice run at this tournament before. Maybe this is where he finally gets together. He's a young player. He can figure it out. The same case will be made for Tom Kim. You could make that case. I mean, Akshay is staring me in the face once again. This is a great Akshay tournament. It's an accuracy course where you got to go attack pins. That's his entire jam. He's been playing like crap, but you still feel like that potential is there. I could see Dietrich being a better look at 120-1. I've already talked about Phoenix. He just dominated there, but Michael Kim's actually playing the best. It's just no one thinks of him as someone who's going to reach the next level. They feel like this is it for him, but maybe he's the type of like once every 10-year outlier at the Players that wins this tournament. Or maybe he's just honestly a lot better now.
Like, I don't know. If he brings that in Fuego over, he's in play.
He did tell me if he wins the Players, he'll come on after. Like the week after.
There it is. I mean, I'm sure they're taking a bit of a dip. What's after the Players?
Valspar is next week, and then Houston.
Love Valspar.
I love Valspar too.
Cam
I like
Cam
Houston.
Young lost to a bucket hat.
We forgot to bring it up on the recap of API, but was there any more Cam Young moment ever than did you see what happened on the first tee for him at API?
That's embarrassing. Like, he must have just forgot to take it out after warm up. Like, I guarantee you, there is no way my friends would let me have done that, like come to the first tee doing that, but they would have told me, like, do you know that's in your ear? Like, there's a cat. You're paying someone. Someone is getting like 7% of every dollar you make, 8%, whatever their rates are. Like, a guy can't tell you you have it. Like, just heads up, buddy. That's in your ear. He is by far my favorite unserious golfer on earth. And I don't know who else is in this category, but he's at the top of it.
How dramatically has he fallen off of a cliff? Like, and if people don't know what we're talking about, Cam Young showed up to the first tee at API with an earbud in his ear and then proceeded to duck hook it in the water. He's like, oh crap, I got an earbud in while I'm playing. It's insane. But he went from being a guy who had 6 top 10s in his past 8 majors to a guy that is an unserious golfer, like you just said.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I mean, there were so many close calls. Didn't he screw something? Maybe that was Scheffler screwed something up on Burns in a match play. He like missed a real short. He obviously last year he messed around and got nipped by Malnati. In the last 2 years, who has fallen harder?
Victor. Victor went from winning the FedEx Cup to being uncompetitive on the PGA Tour.
Okay, fine, but like Victor gets a bit of grace because he like won so much. Like, yes. Cam Young did the dip without actually accomplishing stuff.
Do you know what Cam Young's odds are this week?
120.
140-1.
Yeah, I saw he was 110 last week. So 100 maybe it should be higher. I'm seeing he's not playing.
Who?
Is he playing?
Tiger Woods? No, he's not playing.
I'm seeing one odd, a book with Noren at 150, but he's not playing.
No, Noren has Noren put out on Instagram last week. He tore his hamstring and his quad the week before the Century.
Oh.
That's why he hasn't been playing. It's funny that we didn't know that until last week, and it's been 3 months. But that's what happened. We
spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. We brought up there was an injury, but we didn't know the extent of it. But yeah, I mean, we're here. It's March, and we haven't got. I mean, it was time for an update. That sucks.
So we really glossed over this one range. It's like Hideki, Fleetwood, Cantlay, Lowry, Henley, Connors, Im, Keegan, Straka, who I did bet, Clark, Day, Daniel Berger. How about Jason Day?
I didn't mean to go over this. Wow, Jason Day might be Golf Internet's favorite golfer,
which is unfathomable. He started wearing a visor yesterday too.
He's been wearing it a few times.
Has he?
I'm
a
big fan.
He hurts my eyes to see him, so it's like everyone seems to love this gear that he's wearing. I think it's fucking ludicrous. But
Okay, I love.
that seems like something like fat guys wear at my course because they can't look good in actual shirts.
No, because their actual nice pants don't do up anymore and their belts don't fit. That's why they're wearing that at your course. Been there. Do you have? I'm trying to say this. I do not like this. Everything but two things I actually fucking love. And maybe when you're swinging for the fences like they do over there at Malbon, or they get crazy, you're going to have some big losses. I still hate that loud vest that he wore at the Masters last year.
Is that the one that looks like?
Is
that the one that looks like the Sig pack?
Yes, and I cannot stand. I agree with you. Coming from a fat guy, I do not like the sweatsuit fat out look at these places. Who wouldn't let their members dress like that on the golf course? I don't like that look. That looks unbecoming of pro golf. But there are all these other looks with the shirt, like the collars, that I just fucking love. I love it so much. And the thing about last year's Masters shirt, Pat, is I think had he worn it, let's say he didn't wear that, I feel like people would be a lot looser on it this year. Like, had he not worn that last year and unveiled it this year, because it seems like there's been such a pro Jason Day outfit shift that hadn't started yet when he did that last year, that I feel like would have created more of an ability to pull it off. But last year was just so holy shit, man. That being said, I mean, the internet is falling in love with Jason Day again. What are his odds? 40?
60. Coming off a good week at API, he had a good week at Pebble, he had a good week at Amex. He has 3 top 15s in his past 5 starts. He's a former winner here. He's a former major champion. He fits all of the outlying criteria for all of this stuff. I worry that his approach play is bad.
I didn't see API. Obviously he had that insane round, which was incredible. Was he actually good, or did he just hit every putt and chip in?
He did a lot of that. He gained 6 strokes putting throughout the week. He did lose around the greens, but he was 1.2 off the tee, 0.8 on approach. It's not all that dissimilar from Henley's numbers, except he lost a stroke around the greens and Henley gained 7. That's the 8 shots right there.
So I'm going to sit this one out, but I need your opinion. But I'm not going to follow up on your opinion. Just talk to me about Tommy. Because I bet it I said I bet it at the Genesis, and I bet it last week. The Tommy ball striking, he's hitting it in Florida, made me want to, break my diet and cheat. And when you cheat for a couple weeks in a row, you've now broken your diet. When you cheat, if I do this again, it'd be 3 tournaments for Tommy in a row. And then I'm fully I have to go back to the meetings. We've fallen that off the wagon that hard. But the ball striking and Florida, he's going to finish 10th place, and congratulations, Tommy.
I'm kind of with you. He has seen a downtrend in his performance at the Players. The second and third time he played it, he finished 7th, then he finished 5th, then he missed the cut. He's been inside the top 35 each of the past 3 years, but 11th last week, and he rallied because I played him on that same underdog ticket with McNeely, and he did not get to his 3.5 birdies or better on Friday because somehow I targeted him on the one round where he was terrible. But yeah, the ball striking was really good. He's gained 5 or more in each of the past 3 events tee to green, and those were 3 elevated events. He played Pebble, he played Genesis, and he played the Arnold Palmer, and he's come top 22 in all of those, T11 each of the past 2, 5th at Torrey Pines. I get it, but you're asking me, he's like Russell Henley in a way that
right, he is. Yeah, he is. He would have looked perfect in that cardigan.
He's kind of the British Russell Henley, except he putts much, much worse, and you feel like his ball striking upside is so much better. It's a great course for him. I agree with everything you said. He's 32-1. I think I like him better than Hideki this week because Hideki's form has just been off since he won at the Century. I think I like him better than Cantlay, who seems to be like up and down, has never really had any real success at Sawgrass over the years. And then you have like Lowry and Henley in his range. Those are the only other guys. Henley makes the most sense, but I just don't think that he's going to go back to back after not winning for ages. Maybe the floodgates are open. Maybe that's what it took to get him across the line. But he's another one who's never really played well at Sawgrass ever. And then you have Lowry, who is kind of in the same, like these are all kind of the same guys, except for Hideki in this like 30 to 40 range. Like Hideki actually wins.
Two's there, right?
Yes, that's what I mean. Cantlay's very much in the mix with these guys that are just kind of lurk. And yeah, so at some point they'll win 3 tournaments in a year, but they'll go years without winning at the same time. I don't ever feel like they're good bets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a Cantlay as high as 35.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too.
Yeah, it's a tough pull, and I'll say this. I know there's a lot of people like are kind of just, and from an outright bet, like Never Tommy has clearly paid off in waves. I'd just say, like, if you're one of these guys that like blindly dismisses Tommy, maybe just like circle back, like just take a look, because we're in Florida and things are really actually, as Pat pointed out, he did a good job. So don't like totally dismiss it. Just look at it for a moment would be my advice.
And then after that range, like, do you like Wyndham Clark? Do you like Daniel Berger? The Berger numbers are really good.
Don't mind Berger. I don't like I'd love to think Connors could do it, but even watching like yesterday or going into yesterday, like, did anyone think Corey Connors would actually do it?
No.
I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Henley maybe, but Berger, I don't think I get there, but he's statistically doing everything I'd want to bet for a guy at like 65 to 1. Kind of like your boy Sepp. Like, both of them seem like pretty strong, decent bets.
I'm going to wait again, like I said, until the tee times come out, unless I really feel like I'm going to miss out on a number. But I do think that of all the guys that we've talked about, it's probably going to be Ludwig for me.
Are they expecting a weather situation this week?
No, but this is Sawgrass, and this comes up out of nowhere. So I just want to give myself I don't need to invest every cent that I just won on the weekend on a Monday morning. It doesn't have to work
Absolutely.
that way. I know that.
No, breathe.
Yeah, just give myself a second. Like Friday afternoon looks like it could kind of suck right now. Like that's the really only one that I'm seeing. Like everything looks pretty consistent across Thursday, no tee advantage. To see it on Friday, you see that there's like 0 wind in the morning, and then it's like up to 20 in the afternoon. Like I need to see how that materializes. Like, is that going to be a substantial edge? If it is, then I do need to think about that. Beyond building a DraftKings lineup, for my outright bets, I don't do that enough because I usually commit all my money as we talk during the show.
So this probably isn't the best tournament to like do this reminder or share this because it is so top heavy and, you know, history says what's going to happen here is probably going to happen. But I always try to remind myself, like, just breathe on the Monday. Breathe. Have you ever seen, like, Pat, let's say someone hits a winner and the top of the market on the Monday on that guy was 55 to 1. But come Sunday, someone is showing you a pre-tournament bet that won at like 44 to 1. Does anyone care? Oh, can't believe you didn't get top of market. Like, I always just try, like, you don't have to rush your decisions. You can lose 5-8 points on a guy just to make a, like, not rushed decision. And if he does win, no one is going to, like, mock you for not getting top of market on your freaking winner.
Perfect case of this is Phillips on the weekend. I had an 80. I also had it at 60 at a different place. I saw some people with 75s. I saw some people with 65s. Didn't really matter. You hit a gigantic winner. Who cares?
Yeah, if you didn't bet the early 80, 75, and you decided, you know what, I've thought this through, I'm in on 60. I didn't see one person with an 80 winner be like, I can't believe you only got 60, bro. Where were you? No, that doesn't happen.
No, and it's a lot different. Listen, you are giving up value, but you could also say that you're retaining some by not making rash decisions that you probably regret 3 days later. It's not like in the NFL where that point is actually a lot.
Very well said, and I get it. Like, I don't want to leave it on the floor by not making the move, but like you said, there's value in making a calm, rational decision out of the Monday morning fog, feeling you've got to like rush something. So this probably isn't the perfect event to make that case, but we're in the middle of March and I'm saying it.
Here's a perfect example. Someone actually gave me a shout out for the Phil call. He had bet Phil top 5 and Phil top 10 on the weekend. And he was like, where did you get 125 to 1 on the top 5? I was like, it was an each way. At certain books, will let you make an each way bet where half the money goes towards the win and half the money goes towards whatever the each way placement is at either 1/4 or 1/5 the odds. This week on Live, it was 1/4 the odds for a top 5, which really worked out to my benefit. 1/4 of 500 is 125 to 1. So he had, I believe it was a 45 to 1 on the top 5. That was the best number he could find, and a 16 to 1 on the top 10. So I told him like about how I got the number, where the numbers exist, that kind of thing in the exchange we had. And he finished it off. He's like, I'm still pumped to have 45 to 1 and 16 to 1 winners. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. And when I say that, like, it's still the key. Like, after everything I said, you still want to like shop and get the best price. But I've never seen anyone mocked for like missing the Monday line and hitting the golfer on a more thought through like Wednesday number that's shorter.
Yeah. For example, since we started doing this show, I ended up taking the 125 because of the 8 places on Nick Taylor, but now it's already up to 140. So now I feel like an idiot. I should have just waited an hour.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm going to be happy if he wins.
I don't doubt. Wow. Nick Taylor won the Players. Before 4 win? No.
That'd be 6 wins for him on the PGA
Yeah,
Tour
6
if he wins.
Crazy.
I was shocked. They said on the broadcast that Corey Connors has the most tour championship appearances of any Canadian, with 4. I guess it came like the FedEx Cup started towards like the back end of Mike Weir being really good, and then he sort of fell off a cliff. Like he won the Masters in 2003. I think 2007 was the first year of the FedEx Cup. And that was just at the very tail end of his peak, and then he just fell off.
Yeah, and like Dillette was just like a quick 3-year finish 5th place every week.
Fuck, man. Well, Dillette's on the broadcast now. I like Dillette a lot. He's good.
I like him. I got no issues. This should be the pinnacle broadcast of the year, though, right?
I would think so. They have the best of the best of the best with honors, sir. It's like that guy that Will Smith met, Men in Black. But all the technology's there. It's NBC. They got Golf Channel and NBC and Peacock broadcast to go through. They should, I would guess, be prepping to have the best broadcast of the year. If it's not, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but they missed the mark if it's not. As someone who watched a bunch of Puerto Rico yesterday, sweating Phillips against Joseph Bramlett and some amateur from South Africa, the biggest thing that you notice between the two, like, and switching back and forth, like watching Puerto Rico and then during the commercial, flicking back to see what's going on in API. Well, actually, after Phillips takes a shot, flipping back to API to see what's going on. The sound quality between those two tournaments on the broadcast it's like 2 different planets. Like the Puerto Rico one was so bad for the audio, and then you tune in to API and it's crisp. Like you really do overlook the amount of money and quality that goes into some of these broadcasts.
I think we all, as hardcore golf fans, sort of lose sight into the logistics of all of it. What were you saying? The Puerto Rico? Oh, the young South African. So I know Tim mentioned obviously Aldrich and Lamprecht, but yeah, here's another one. And I saw last week before the tournament, he got an Under Armour deal. So I meant to ask Byron about him last week. He's just another young South African, storming up the board.
100 to 1 and beyond. I've already mentioned Nick Taylor. This was the giveaway promotion in the comment section of the research show this week. Who do you like? And Nick Taylor is probably the most common answer. Who do you like from 100 to 1? And I will say that I'm playing some guys, more guys than usual, from beyond 100 to 1 this week, because at the major championships and the Players, those each way odds that I just spoke about, actually are better to bet the outright win with the each way than bet top tens. Like, you get better odds and you have to invest less money for more payout. So just keep that in mind if you have Bet 365 or Bet Rivers. I think those are the two that have the each way placements, right?
Yep. And I mean, this is the sort of event where if you just don't want to play the top of the board, you just hammer the back with each ways.
Or
and your each way will
20s or
pay
something.
more than someone's winner. I mean, you're not going to maybe win more, but I see a lot of guys, like, I just have no feel for which of the good players is going to win. I'm just going to play, like, a lot of these guys, 80 to like 120 on the each ways. That being said, I have a suggestion here. The fact that it's only 100 to 1 makes me think it should be higher. I guess I see a 125 here, Pat. And I don't know. I mean, we're doing an outright golf show, so this feels even dumber. And I don't know that I'd actually bet him to win. But getting to make rosters this week in the States, Doug Gim is going to be all over my shit. He's going to be all over it.
Are you surprised at how low his odds are? I know he has the good track record, die courses. He has a great track record. He should be like 500 to 1 to win.
So I said it's 100. How's it 100? I thought I'd be scrolling for another 4 seconds.
So I just looked past 24 rounds. The leaders in approach overall of all players in this field, strokes gained approach that are from beyond 100 to 1. Kurt Kitayama is third in the field at 100 to 1. Doug Gim is fifth in the field at 110 to 1. Lucas Glover is 8th at 150 to 1. Jake Knapp is 170 to 1. He's 11th. Mac Meisner's 300 to 1. He's 13th. Nicky Dunlap is 200 to 1. He's 15th. Seamus Power is 17th. He's 120. Gary Woodland is 20th. He's 200 to 1. Joe Highsmith, cuss guy, now that he hates him, 120 to 1 is 22nd in this field. And then you have Clanton's not in it. Matty Schmidt, good Pete Dye player, by the way, coming off a nice performance in Puerto Rico, is 29th in approach. He's 250 to 1. And then Sam Stevens is 120. Adam Svensson, who's 39th, is 250. Eric Cole is 200. He's 49th. Jacob Bridgman is actually the one that I wanted to bring up. Jacob Bridgman is 200 to 1 in this field. I don't think he's going to win. But if you can play one of those each way with 8 places, each way with 12 places, you're going to get a really big number on him, like 40, 50 to 1 to hit something inside that top 10. Because he lost to Highsmith, and I always think that they're the same guy, he was second at Cognizant. He was 34th in Mexico. He was 15th at Arnold Palmer last week. Again, a lot of chipping and putting. Didn't have the best approach week. Not a bad approach week either. Just slightly worse than the best players in the field. But these are the sorts of tournaments where you'd think he would do well, wouldn't you?
What'd you say the number was?
200 to 1.
Yeah, 200. Jeez, that's high.
It's 225. And like Bridgman's not Highsmith. He didn't win that tournament, but he's been playing some good golf. Back-to-back top 15s in Florida.
Because, like, as you read through it, I was staring at Gracerman's profile, who's only at like 100, 110, and it's kind of a lot of the same in terms of results. Very, no, that was Fleetwood, not Gracerman. I just had Gracerman.
Gracerman has a bunch of second place finishes. That's why he pops up so highly on a lot of this stuff. But he has not been. I mean, I guess he was 11th at Cognizant. He was 22nd last week, 24th. He's been good, not great. And so much of his game is chipping and putting. Like the irons and driving can get really
he
bad.
hit the irons horribly last week and finished 22nd. So props.
But if you hit the irons poorly this week or you drive the ball poorly this week, you're not going to be saving 17-foot par putts. Those 17 putts are going to be for triple.
Yeah. So I can't believe I said it, but I will not be making the outright bet. But Doug Gim, only 100 to 1, but that peaked for me.
They know. It feels like they know.
I don't know who else I really care to trust, but
it's Nick,
getting to fill out DK lineups for the first time in the year. I'm going to get familiar with some players I haven't laid a cent on.
Okay. So let's do the quick picks for the Players' Championship. I have bet Seb Straka at 60 to 1. I have bet on Nick Taylor at 125 to 1 with a top 8 each way. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm considering Ludwig. I'm probably going to pull the trigger on Ludwig, depending on the number that I can get. If not, I'll wait and use. I know I'm getting a 30% boost coming. That I would bet him at 17 anyway, but if I can boost it up to 24 or 22 or 23, whatever it is, or just search for that number if he doesn't end up becoming the popular guy. Let's say everyone just pumps on Morikawa, which I expect them to do. Ludwig's number will fall a little bit. And that's probably where the realm where I want to be with him at the top. I am considering Morikawa as well, but it's Ludwig over Morikawa in the betting market for me. And I haven't done the Justin Thomas thing yet this year, but I might do it this time around.
Ludwig, for me, 22-1. There's still 20s out there. That will be partnered with likely one of Colin or one of Colin or JT. And I probably want to finally call a Colin shot. So that's where I think it's going to be. And truth be told, not that the money isn't real or doesn't count, but my Ludwig bet, which wasn't small, I made like right off a big win. So, some chips fell out of my pocket onto the casino floor and I ended up with a ticket. So I kind of feel like I'm running naked here and can still do whatever I want. I don't want to extend this. My answer is no, I haven't. Have you watched any of a Full Swing?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, me neither.
Isn't
that weird?
No, because that show's not for me and you. I mean, there's some people who just want to get as much golf into their life as possible, and I don't think I would not enjoy it. I don't think I watch any of season 2. Watched a little bit of. We watched all of season 1 because we did the reviews of those shows, but it's more for my wife than me.
Yeah, that's true. And I loaded up some content for the plane, and I chose to watch the new season of the F1 show that I enjoy. And I'm sure that's just because, like, I watched that. I don't even know who won the races.
Yeah.
So it literally adds like a level of drama. I don't even know who won the races.
I mean, Verstappen probably won the races.
Sure, yes. But I mean, like, I don't know, like as a hardcore, like I know how everything plays out. Yes, there's behind the scenes stuff. There's family stuff. I'm so deep in the trees on golf. Like anything tangible from that, I feel like I'll see clipped on YouTube, on Twitter anyway.
And there's not much that you don't already know.
Yes.
Except for seeing apparently Byron's in the President's Cup episode. So.
Oh yeah. No, I watched that clip came across my Twitter and I watched it like 6 times in a row. Having already watched it a bunch because we saw it at the President's Cup. Him doing his swag walk in his South African gear around the first tee. We kind of knew that week this was he got told that week expect this to end up in Full Swing, and it did.
So from down the board, I am giving a look to Michael Kim, Aaron Rai, Akshay, and Nikolai Højgaard, just because I bet Højgaard every week and he's 170-1 or something like that. And he is one of the leaders in approach so far this season. If you can just keep the ball in play, maybe we got something cooking with him. One and done selections for the Players' Championship. It will be the biggest or tied for the biggest purse of the season. Cust has unloaded the chamber on Scottie Scheffler as his winner of this event. And so he is Cust's one and done pick. It is my pick next because I used Scheffler last week. Probably blew it. Only got $451,000 from him. But I will go with Ludwig as my one and done.
Nothing fancy here. I could just like triple check, but there's no way I've done it. I don't want to say that. I'll take Colin.
You have already used Colin Morikawa, sir, hence my blocking you out on Ludwig.
Okay, yeah, good for you. That's smart. Now, that sucks. When you're not a Morikawa. Good thing I didn't bet on if I used Ludwig. And I've used JT. I'll use Tommy. Florida, we're at the end of Florida. He's not playing next week. You're not going to bet Tom. I'm not going to use him at the U.S. Open because I'll use a live player. Tommy
Fleetwood for Geoff Fienberg. That definitely means you're going to bet Tommy Fleetwood now.
Nope. I have, Pat, this is an old thing. We're many years removed. Like, I didn't bet JT last week. He was my one and done. We are many years removed.
But you just bet Fleetwood back-to-back weeks. Imagine if Fleetwood won and you didn't bet him at this tournament.
You're trying to, like, cost my kids like $150 right now, aren't you? There's almost no money I could bet on Tommy to recoup it. Like there's no, like, in terms of like what I would actually bet on. Like, I'm not betting $500 on Tommy. I'm not betting $300 on Tommy. It would be impossible for me to recoup Tommy with 130-1 winner. Like, I'll just be open about that.
Couldn't hurt.
That being said, I would be sad. Like, I'd be upset. But I think Tommy winning the Players, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't to not bet it. I would cry, tears of joy, just so we can end it. It can be over. He has this great win. I really thought the cardigan would look perfect on him. It would be very Tommy, but that's just me making things up in my own head and trying to create things that I want to happen. I don't know if I can bet him. I mean, fuck. I'd be over. I don't want to be overexposed this week. Colin and Ludwig is where I think I'm going to be, and that's enough. That's it. That's enough money.
All right. Well, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. You want to get in that draw for $500? You sub to the channel, smash a like, and give me your favorite bet in the comment section right now. And then you can do that on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts when you subscribe to the audio version of this show. Get yourself some extra ballots in that draw for $500 cash and the secondary prize of a free year of FantasyNational.com. If you go to X, which is apparently down at the moment, when it comes back, you can retweet any of the players' shows that I put out, and primarily the article that I have up there now, and I'll pick one of you to win $200 cash. So free money being given out by the Pat Mayo Experience this week. That's what we get when we come off a heater weekend. You got to start giving some of that money back to the community, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo Experience! Experience!